Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we will be starting our webinar this afternoon very soon. But before we start, just a bit of context. So we have kickstarted officially our cohort 1 for digital tourism innovation lab last week, and we have our cohort 1 participant here. At the same time, this webinar is also one of the event and initiative as part of the innovation lab, and hence we also inviting all the tourism startup out there to be here together with our speaker today, Zahira from Universal Holiday. So what she will be sharing today in this afternoon is we'll be sharing with you all and discuss on the consumer behavior and also strategic collaboration in tourism industry, where based on her 20 plus year of experience in tourism industry, you will get to know more about her, how does the overview and evolutions of the international tourists as well as the local tourist behavior and their purchasing trend over the year, and also some insight that she has observed in the tourism industry. So passing over to you, the floor, one Zahira, and I will be stop sharing the screen.
Okay, all right. Hi. Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Zahira, the CEO and founder of Universal Holiday Travel and Tourism. Most of you must be wondering that, you have not seen the brand out there in the public, why you have not seen us doing any promotion to the consumer and all that. So there'll be a lot of questions, who we are, who am I, and all that. So I'll just do a very quick, short introduction. My name is Zahira. I have been in the travel industry for the last 25 years. Don't go by that years. I still feel young. I've completed my diploma in business study from UITM. I did my bachelor communication in UPM, and I was actually doing my master's during the COVID from Rome Tourism School. But then post-COVID, when the business suddenly boom, I decided to take a break. I started my career with Cathay Pacific in the year 2000. Yeah, 2000. That was when traveling was very luxury back then. And I started my career after airline. I left the airline post 9/11 because there was a lot of issues during that time with the tourism industry. And, I wanted to go out of the airline because airline was the first hit industry post 9/11. I joined one of the first few company in the world that started B2B online travel in 2002. Basically, that company, I shall say that it started digitalizing tourism in 1996 when internet was still very new in, especially this part of the world. And in 2010, I founded Universal Holiday Travel and Tourism. So if you just want to know more, I'll just explain to you what Universal Holiday Travel and Tourism is all about. We are a B2B destination management company based in Malaysia. We have 3 segments of business. One is online, another one is offline, and third, we do MICE, which is meeting, incentive, conference, and exhibition. In 2019, just before the pandemic hit, we operated almost 30,000 passengers into Malaysia alone in that single year. Post-COVID, we bounced back. We did very well in 2023, and I hope that we're going to do good in 2024. I'll be hitting the road tomorrow onwards with Tourism Malaysia, starting Saudi, then Algeria, Cairo, Mumbai, and Delhi for sales mission. So that's little about me and the company. So if you have more questions, I can probably explain to you guys later in a Q&A session. So for the topic today, insight into consumer behavior and strategic collaboration in the tourism, I would like to share on my experience of 25 years in the industry based on the business segment where I am in, and how things in the tourism works from my perspective is a sharing of knowledge, sharing of experience. There will be some probably storytelling, and if you have any question, just let me know while we are, doing this. You can also ask me some question. Okay, just a very quick one. We won a couple of awards. Malaysia Tourism Council for 17, 18, 19. We did good with Malaysia Tourism Excellent Business Certification. I got awarded by CMO India for most influential women leaders in tourism industry, specifically for the MIND segment, which is Meeting, Incentive, Conference and Exhibition. Asian Women Leaders Malaysia Property Corporation, we were honored as a Malaysia Tourism Hero, and we were also being covered by a lot of magazines, TTG, India Times, RTM, Astro, Awani, and BFM and all that. Right. So, tourism is a very large industry. All of you know about it. I'm not going to go dive it into, what all is all about. Simple. Tourism is about moving one individual from one place to another place. That's it. There is nothing fancy jargon about tourism. The moment you move from one place to another place, regardless for whatever purpose, you are somehow related to the tourism industry. Whether you are using the transportation, whether you are using the restaurant, whether you are checking in the hotel, homestay, or whatever product that you use, you buy tickets, every single thing is correlated. So while building your product, since all of you are from the startup, and I'm sure that most of you have a lot of experience, when you are building your product, first of all, identify your source market. Who is your target customer? I think that's something that everybody wants to do. As much as we want to go out of the box, as much as we want to, do some fancy stuff, but at the end of the day, we need to have a buyer. And second thing is, what is the purchasing behavior of your buyers? Which country are they from? What is the age demographic? What is the religion? What is the nationality? Every single identification of an individual actually affects the purchasing behavior, right? And then you'll definitely have to check, because everyone is talking about digitalization, and 1337 initiative is basically more on digitalization. Before you want to digitalize it, you need to also understand, are your consumer traditional buyer or are they a digitalized buyer? On which perspective are you looking at? All right. I'll get that into detail once we go to the consumer behavior and B2B, B2C and all that. And then who are you targeting? Are you targeting a B2B, B2C, corporate, government? You need to identify. And how is your business model fits or disrupt the business segment? You'll have to understand that tourism is a very large business. Whatever you do, you have to have a lot of investment. You're going to put a lot of money. You're going to put a lot of effort. One thing which is very important in the tourism industry is to have a base business. If you speak to any hotel, for example, every hotel will say that, oh, my base business 20%, I'm depending on OTA. My base business 10%, I'm depending on the airline crew. Everyone talks about the base business because base business keeps you running throughout the year or your financial. Base business is extremely important in tourism. Without base business, things can go haywire, especially when you do not have traction, so you do not have bookings coming in. So you have to identify your base business. This is just some numbers and figures. Post-COVID, 80% of India travel agents are servicing first-time customer. Because during COVID, refund, if there is any problem or any issues, at the end of the day, we have someone to fall into. We can definitely get our refund. We can speak to someone. We can get things, sort out. Asian Declaration 2020 has emphasized on the importance of digitalization in tourism sector, especially distributing tier 2, tier 3 product. 95% of the GCC market, Gulf countries, which is the Middle East, book with travel agents. And then, there's policies. And one thing very important, a lot of people are thinking that Agoda is a B2C, but Agoda have gone into a B2B business model, and they are distributing product to the travel agent across the world. Okay. In my 20 over years experience, I've learned something very important. You can't be seeing your consumer behavior generally like how you are seeing Malaysian behaving. Each country, each nationality, each race, each religion has a different pattern while buying a product, especially tourism product. I am differentiating the segment into two, B2B and B2C. Okay, who are the B2B? B2B are probably the destination management company, the travel agents in that country. Like for example, I'm taking an example in India. There are a lot of travel agents in India. There are a lot of travel agents in China. There are travel agents who are servicing using traditional packages. They will just send you these packages. If you want to book, I will book it for you. But there are a lot of savvy travel agents now who has access to multiple different B2B platforms and system. While the client is sitting in front of them, they actually curate the itinerary and they book like Kuala Lumpur, city tour, transport, and every single thing. Book, issue the voucher while the client is sitting down, collect the payment, and voila, they have sold one package. Market size. Each market has a different behavior in terms of market size. I'll give an example. When you're talking about India, 1.3 billion population, China, 1.2 billion population. India have overtaken China, by the way, in terms of population. They segmentize their business into the tier cities. The bigger cities, they have consolidators. And then the smaller cities, they have the small, we call it like they call it kirana stores, where small travel agents are selling packages. And then they will collect them, make it as a group, and travel together. Right? And we also have to look into how does the business operate in that country. Are they regulated? Do they require license? Do they pay taxes? Is there any tax imposed? And then which is the destination promoted the most by the travel agents? Payment process and tourism campaign. Okay, now, which destination is promoted the most? Like for example, if Tourism Malaysia wants to do a campaign in India, right? So the travel agents in India will start pushing for Malaysia. If Singapore does a campaign, travel agents will start selling market. I'm not talking about Malaysia market yet. All right. And then payment process. But also how are they going to pay their vendor? For tourism payment is connected to tax. For example, if you want to buy a package, you are coming to, for example, a consumer in India walks into a travel agent, says that, okay, I want to buy a package to Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok. He buys the package. Now, the travel agents collect the money. Once the travel agent collects the money, he has to do the payment to the vendor and suppliers in Malaysia or Thailand. They need to submit the tax return of the buyer to the bank in order for them to pay for the package or the holiday that they've been purchased from overseas, because this is quite a tricky and complicated transaction. because some of you are, doing B2B, some of you doing payment platforms and all that. So if you have 10 people buying the holiday packages, 10% tax number must be submitted to bank in order for the bank to remit the payment outwards. So banking does affect on how tourism operates in a country. Tourism campaign, all the advertisements and all the incentive and all that given. So that's for the B2B. For the B2C is how the consumer behave while traveling. Are they the first time consumer? Are they the first time travelers? Their religion, the beliefs, the food plays a very important role, depend on which market that you are targeting. If you are targeting, for example, the Europeans, the Americans, they are much more relaxed. They are okay to try. They are very adventurous. But if you're targeting a lot of traditional market, again, I'm giving you two examples of the largest consumer available market in the world, which is India and China. For an Indian to travel abroad, number one is the food. Regardless whatever happened in the world, they need their food. When there was a surge and boom of Indian traveling to Europe, the travel agents in Europe used to have this caravan following the buses behind so that Indian food can be provided to the tour series. Like, especially because you have vegetarian, you have Jain. Those days, there were no many Indian restaurants around the Europe. So what happened was, whoever was selling tour packages in India used to sell that Indian food is available in Europe. And wherever the buses move, there is a caravan goes with the bus so that they can provide the breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and all that for India. Until today, we doing Indian market, 60% of my business relies on the Indian market. Food is the major concern. We have to ensure there is an Indian chef in the hotel. We have to ensure that not local Indian chef. We need Indian chef. They wouldn't want to try anything, despite whether it is a very high profile incentive group or it is just a basic incentive group, whether they are staying in GW Marriott or the Mandarin Oriental, or probably they are staying in a 3-star hotel. Number one, food. No Indian food in that particular hotel, the hotel will not be in the bidding anymore. Same goes with the leisure business. Same goes with Malaysian. If they want to travel, they are looking for halal food, especially. Price and duration, consumer are very price sensitive. And then again, the payment method. There are certain countries where people only carry cash. For example, in the Middle East and the GCC region, in mid-2000, when there was a surge post 9/11, when the Arabs were banned of traveling to the US and to Europe, there was a surge of Arabs into Malaysia. How do the Arabs purchase? They don't use credit card. They don't use payment transfers. They carry cash. So let's say if they're buying a tour package, they'll just carry 50,000 ringgit cash, walking to a travel agent, put it on a table and say, now, I have 50,000 riyal, take me wherever you can, which is the next available flight. That's how they behave. So the Arabs behave very differently, the Indian behave very differently, the Indonesian behave very differently. So the consumer total behavior, even into the payment method, is something that you have to look into. Unique experience or just for the sake of traveling. This is a very important point for a lot of different market. When you're targeting the Europe market or when you're targeting a certain matured country, they are looking for unique experience. This is where they want to go for diving. They want to go for cave. They want to do some adventure activity. But there are a lot of countries, tourists, who travel for the sake of collecting number of visas. Okay? I'll share with you what happened. Like, okay, I have some question here. I'll answer to your, okay, sure. Okay, so I'll share with you. We Malaysian, we always look into Malaysian behavior, right? Okay, do not forget that Malaysia passport currently is number 12 powerful passport in the world. Not all country is lucky as us, all right? A person who wants to travel to US or a person who wants to travel to Europe, they have a vision, okay, I want to go to Europe. But getting Shenzhen visa is not an easy process. Getting an American visa is not an easy process for most of the country in the world. What happened is they need to see your history of traveling. All right. India and China, what they do is they travel to at least 5 to 6 cheapest country around so that they have a history of traveling in order for them to apply US visa or Shenzhen visa. For example, an Indian, when they want to travel, they want to apply US visa. It will not be possible. So the first come on the priority is visiting Dubai, and then visiting Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Now they have collected 5 visas. That's how they will apply Shenzhen visa or US visa, because a clean passport, you will never get the visa. So this is where you have to understand the consumer that you are targeting. Are they really an experienced consumer, or they are traveling to your country just for the sake of traveling and collecting the travel histories? That makes a lot of difference. Okay, before I answer the question, I'll finish this slide. Now, this will be the B2B and the B2C consumer behavior difference. But one common, these are the 3 to 4 points of the common issues between both. Number one, is there any conflict or there is any support for the destination? For example, Malaysia Convention and Exhibition Bureau, MICEP. MICEP is giving support to those corporate who are organizing conference and meeting in Malaysia. For example, if a corporate in UK wants to do a meeting in Malaysia, if they meet the target, MICEP will sponsor minimum probably $20 per head, cultural show or anything like that. So there is a tourism or government support. And then support in terms of visa. Like recently, our government have waived visa for Indians and China. So support from the government is very important, but conflict can crash down your business. For example, currently Maldives is going through one of the biggest crises in their tourism history. Maldives versus Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep is an island in India, which is a very untouched island. So the Prime Minister of India has gone to the island and took some picture. And he says that, you know, India has its own Maldives. 3 of Maldivian minister tweeted against the Prime Minister of India, saying that, you know, whatever that he has to say, they just say something. On immediate basis, Maldives received almost 60% of booking cancellation from Indians traveling to Maldives. And Indian traveling to Maldives, basically Indian is number 1 into Maldives, and 60% of Indian decided to cancel. And one of the largest Indian OTA, EMT, which is Easy My Trip, the CEO himself announced that on immediate basis, EMT is going to discontinue selling Maldives airfare and tour packages in India. So that has impacted Maldives a lot. And without, so what Maldives president had to do is to visit China and tell to the Chinese that come and visit Maldives because they need to compensate that. So as much as we work hard from our side, but the government, the policies, what our ministers has to say, what our politicians has to say, has an immediate impact on tourism. Visa requirement is something that I have covered in B2B and B2C. Is basically the passport strength. Different passport strength has a different thing. And then, of course, accessibility, flights, rail, land border, ships. like, between Malaysia and Singapore, we have land borders. So how frequent a person can come in and how easy Malaysia and Hat Yai. Hat Yai had seen a surge in Malaysian tourists just because of that border. And then, of course, destination influence. This is something very interesting that I would like to share with all of you. There is two case study. One is Korea, and again, one is India. Korea tourism had a surge in incoming, 13% increase into Korea, into South Korea, post 2012, when there was a surge of K-pop and Korean drama. So everybody wants to go to Korea. So the influence of movie and drama is huge in tourism. It can, if there is a good destination, if they know how to use drama or movie as a marketing tool, that destination win. Another example is India consumer behavior. When it comes to movie, Bollywood. In 1970s, when one of the Bollywood famous director, he have gone to Switzerland and shot couple of Hindi movie. And there was a surge of tourism into Switzerland from India. And Switzerland government, in his honor, have actually built his statue, Yash Raj, and there is a city which is given to him. And whenever Bollywood releases a movie, when if the destination is being shown in a very good way, scenic, beautiful, there will be a surge of demand into that destination. Another movie, there was a movie of Hrithik Roshan, if some of you know it. They shot in Spain. That movie was basically a serious Spain tourism effort in showing Spain, where they are driving, they are showing all the Tomatina festival and all that. And that year, each corporate who wants to do incentive group actually operated in Spain. So movie drama has a huge impact in tourism. As more than any influencer, more than any tourism marketing campaign, more than anything else, from my experience, movie and drama has the impact. Singapore did very well in 2018-19 because they allow a couple of movie to be shot in Singapore, and Singapore government, STB, Singapore government and Singapore Tourism Board supported the effort of the movie shoot. And shopping is definitely one of a bigger reason for people to travel, like people travel to like the GCC region, the Arabs, they travel to Dubai for shopping, they travel to Europe for shopping, they travel to UK for shopping. So shopping, movie, drama. Okay, I'll just pick up some question here. Okay, I like that VCC because I'm having a hard time on the VCC. How do you consider a tour package? The package will include a tour guide bringing them around, or they are free to explore. Okay, depends on which nationality that you are targeting. If you are looking into a tier 2 or tier 3 city, you are looking into people who are 40 and 50 years and above. Mostly, they would like to have guided tour. They might not take a tour guide, but they will book a complete package from the travel agencies, and they like everything to be arranged. The generation Z, probably they are more, they like to explore. But if the destination is a bit difficult or there is no accessibility of transportation in that destination, I still find that consumer likes to book everything in advance. So that's number one. Number two, how is the buying power of India? Okay, India is one of the biggest, I shall say, is a sleeping giant in terms of a buying power. Currently, it is 1.3 billion population, and hardly 2% of Indian population has passport. And out of the 2% people who has passport, only probably 0.5 or 0.6 percent have actually traveled abroad. So we are sitting on a very large, huge market with a lot of potential buying power. Middle class income is increasing day by day. And yeah, the whole world wants to have Indian market. More than China, the world is looking into India. And one thing I like about India market is they buy the whole package. They are not like the European or the American who likes to come walk around. So for a business point of view, India market is a very good lucrative market because they buy accommodation, they buy the transportation, attractions, tickets, meals, restaurant, they pre-book everything in advance. So that's very good. Apart from food, what are the top three important for tourists in general is the accessibility of airline and also the visa. That's number two, accessibility and airline, the visa. And another one I would say is the price, definitely. Okay, the VCC is considered compulsory. Okay, the problem with VCC is the banks are not giving the VCC. So I think this one probably I can speak to you separately, Amin, because I'm facing that issue. So probably we can, crack our head on that. Okay, how we collaborate tourism and film industry. This is very, very interesting. I have been pushing Tourism Malaysia to woo the movie directors and film directors. I think our deputy tourism minister have visited some of the big studios in India so that they can come and do movie shoot in Malaysia. But besides India, definitely you can look into other destinations as well, like probably China, Indonesia, because this has a lot of influence on movie. Okay, now I will go on the next slide. Domestic and local behavior. Okay, now I'm going to speak about domestic in the context of Malaysia and residents of Malaysia. Travel agents in Malaysia who are dependent on Malaysian as a buyer, to be very frank, they are dying. There is, the market size is shrinking. There is two different things, traditional services and digitalized services. If traditional services like, religious tour, Hajj, Umrah, that kind of travel agencies are growing. Yes, they are making more money now. But on general, Malaysian as a consumer, they're getting smart. They will just go online, book everything online and travel. Unless if they want to go to a certain country where they require assistance, language, food, and the country is very expensive to do on your own, just like Japan, Europe, Korea, doing Europe, 5 countries, 6 countries. So that's where they actually follow the tour series, or maybe the elderly people. Malaysia overall, if you're not digitalized, then you are out of the market. That's what I can say. I'm being very blunt, but that's the reality. Travel agents in Malaysia is finding very difficult to sustain. So you got to be dependent on the regional traffic or bigger traffic like India, China, whatever other market is. And one of the good thing is in Malaysia, our travel agencies are highly regulated. It can be good or bad. I will not go into that detail, but we are very highly regulated in a way that it protects us as a business operator. For the B2C, the religious tour is doing extremely well. People are buying the Umrah, Hajj packages, or they're even going to India for the Tripati, or they are going to the Vatican City. There are some church groups coming from Singapore. There are church group in Malaysia. So when it comes to religious tour, in that context, the market is still very big. And the market is still very consolidated. And plus the market is extremely, is being contained. And then Malaysians like to follow trend. It's like one person has gone to Hat Yai, 4 million Malaysians has gone to Thailand. So you can see the huge surge. So Malaysia market is a very short-lived market where they follow the trend. If there is something interesting in Cameron Highland, the weekend everyone will be full flooding into Cameron Highland. So it's a very following the trend market. Like everyone wants to go to Korea, everybody wants to go to Japan. People are not looking into other destinations. So it's a very trend, following the trend market. Malaysian likes to see very cheap and very convenient. I think probably Malaysian, we are quite matured buyer in terms of travelers. So they are okay to explore, stay wherever they want, drive. They want something short and convenient. So that's the thing. And the payment method, Malaysians are very easy. So they will just book online, pay online, and just get things done. They do not want to go to travel agent, do the payment, and get into all that, complication of doing transaction. Why Malaysia, how to say, Malaysian has changed a lot over the years. I shall say number one is our passport strength. And the carriers like AirAsia, Batik has actually shaped Malaysian traveling in a very different way. We are way more matured. Our passport strength, we don't have to apply visa. That is number one, the hurdle. You just book and go. You feel that there's a weekend, last minute public holiday, you see something cheap on Asia, you see something cheap on Batik, you just book the airline and then you just go to the airport and move. So I think that has changed a lot. And then we have the accessibility to the flight, rail, land border, Thailand and Hat Yai, like what I was giving you the example, Singapore. So I think that has changed a lot the way Malaysian behave. So the way Malaysian behave is very different than the rest of the world at this point of time. Destination influence remain movie, drama, shopping. Every Malaysian wants to go to Korea again because of Korean drama. If there is some movie probably shot tomorrow in South in probably Timbuktu, then all the Malaysians wants to go there. So it depends. So I have a couple of question here. Okay, how about theme park, amusement park? Okay, theme park and amusement park are collaborating with travel agencies. What travel agents are looking for is normally the agency rate. I'll just share with you an example, Sunway Lagoon and Genting. Both of them are giving agent contract rate. They have bulk purchase. And agents can buy the bulk purchase and then we can, sell on different platform, or we can package it up and send it across. So yes, amusement park are working with travel agencies. Amusement park are giving a lot of support to destination management companies or ticket companies. So what we are looking at is definitely price. What are travelers looking for when they travel to Malaysia? Shopping and tour. Okay, I'll take up more questions after this, but I'll just go to the next slide first. Tourism is a large ecosystem. Pick your battle. You can't do everything. You can't do all that you want. You have to choose what you are specialized at. We at Universal, I choose to be a B2B player. And I keep it myself as a B2B. We do not approach B2C. We do not go to do something that, approach government, or we don't do all that. We are B2B and we will remain B2B. You have B2B, 2C. The very interesting point here, probably it can help our fellow friend who is coming up with OTA, is B2C to B. What happened is, I'll give an example of Agoda. Agoda is one of the largest OTA in the world. Despite Agoda has all the money, Agoda has every single thing, they fail to penetrate the Indian market. They fail to penetrate the China market. They fail to penetrate the Middle East market. They are probably strong in Malaysia. They are strong in Europe. They are strong in Thailand. They are strong Booking.com and Agoda since they are same parent company. So I'll just take it one example. Despite huge, doing billions of dollar turnover, they fail to penetrate a lot of huge market because of the way the B2B buys, right? So what Agoda have decided that instead of going to the consumer in the large market, they approach the big banks, they approach the consolidators, and they become a supplier to the B2B. So this is where the B2C2B. So being a consumer platform, they have gone to the B2B segment so that they can get the business from the market that they have not gone. Clear? Right? And then, of course, you have supplier with physical product like hotels, amusement park, attractions, like, you know, the zoos and all that. And then you have the supply integrator where, you know, you do not have a product, but you have a extraordinary technology where you can be an integrator and fix all that and you know, become a consolidator. Okay. This is just an overview of how the ecosystem of tourism looks like. It is all interconnected. It's like a huge world. I have segmentized it from my experience where I see people are. You have the OTA, you have the short-term rental, direct hotels, B2B distribution. And then you have individually the Grab, the Uber, the InDrive, all the transport, the tickets and all that. Then you have experience attractions. You have Be My Guest, you have Global Tix, which is a very good B2B in Singapore. You have Viator, you have Peak in US. And then you have the ancillary product, restaurant, spa, which is literally being ignored by everyone. So if some of you, you have a lot of ideas here, if you want to collaborate something like this, please look into this, because we, being a seller and buyer, I've been going around the market. I have not seen something like a platform that gives the complete solution, or a platform that focuses on the ancillary product for tourism. Okay. So tourism basically is a network. Again, I'm emphasizing that close collaboration between various stakeholders, directly or indirectly. For example, you need to work closely with the Tourism Malaysia, the mdec, the Kementerian Pelancongan for your licensings. You got to work closely with the whole various stakeholders, whatever that you are building. If you are building an app for a hotel, you need to work with the hotel. You need to work with probably a different segment of hotel industry. If you are doing restaurant, you're doing food platform, doesn't mean that you only focus on restaurants or the street. You can also work with the hotel restaurants, because, you know, it gives a different value. Basically, you have to work with everybody. You can't work alone, all right? Product, whatever that you are building, your product must be validated and accepted not only by the consumer, but by the network. Because no point that the consumer accept, like for example, you come up with a very good idea of buying ticketing app. Like for example, I'll just share with you, like Klook, right? You can buy your tickets, you can buy your packages online and every single thing. Idea is good, but if the supplier is not going to support Klook and Klook's idea, Klook can never be successful. And not one, but multiple supplier. So you got to go on a different supplier. So if you have 10 different tour, all the 10 tour need to accept your platform. They need to validate. So sometimes our ideas are great, but the problem is the acceptance from the industry. Like for example, if you're building an OTA, are the hotels going to give you contract? How are they going to give you the contract? Are they going to give you static contract? Are they going to give you a dynamic connectivity through channel manager? So basically, you need to work with the entire network to validate your product. So if you have an idea, please speak to your suppliers, speak to the vendor first before validating the consumer side of it. Because consumer will somehow rather you can crack it through. But if your vendor is not going to support what you are building, you can never build a great product. Okay. Fastest chain reaction dominoes effect. Okay, I actually this is a very interesting scenario during COVID. Everything was shut. everything was closed. People are only looking at tourism industry. The borders are closed, hotels are closed, no tourism. What we fail to realize that tourism industry dominance effect, it goes up to the vendor of the vegetable. Really? Of course. For example, a hotel, you are serving breakfast, you are having conferences, you're having event. So you have huge purchasing on your F&B materials. If your hotel is closed, your vendor is not going to get business. The vendor is not going to get business, and then that the distributor is not going to get business. So at the end of the day, it is a chain reaction. If the airline cancels a flight to a destination, you will lose the booking because the consumer will cancel, right? So tourism, it is one of the fastest, I shall say one of the fastest industry that react to anything and everything. Stock market crash, tourism will be affected. Government change, tourism will be affected. Election, tourism will be affected. Anything and everything, tourism will be affected. So we got to have base business, like what I was explaining earlier. At least we have some sustainability and multiple market. Okay. No any business related to tourism can work in silo. You cannot work individual. So I'm just repeating it again. You got to work with your network. And it's a shared economy. Like for example, we as a local DMC, consciously, we do not want to own any buses. But we buy from our bus vendor. We buy from our car vendor. We buy tickets from probably a ticketing platform. So it is a shared economy. If you have a great network, your business will boom. Just like that. Because the moment you have a circle, right? Instead of, like if you want to start up a travel company and you say that, oh no, I need to buy a car, I need to buy a van, I need to have this. No, you don't have to. Just collaborate. One thing that I learned, I remember when we were in school, my economy teacher gave us an example, like how Chinese business people work. If a Chinese guy open a tire shop, the next person will probably open a car wash. The next person probably will open a aircon service shop. So they will actually complement each other rather than competing with each other. So tourism industry, like I say, is a huge. The market out there is big. There is so much of business opportunity. It's not enough for anyone to control. Despite people like Agoda, Booking.com, the Marriott, the Hilton has huge money, they are still not controlling probably the 50% of the world. They are only controlling hardly 5%, 3%, less than 10%. The biggest of all can only control a certain. However, the smaller company in total are actually having the biggest market share. So yeah, and I'll take up more questions now. Lermin, probably we can do it in a question to question.
Yep, we can. I think there are more questions above that missed out just now. I think on medical tourism.
Okay.
And also on foodie platform.
Okay, Syari Makan. Okay, yes, you can collaborate. There are a lot of DMCs who are curating experiential tours. Like currently, there is a walking tour to Jalan Arlo, and there is a walking tour to Petaling Street. But yes, you have to engage with the right state tourism or Tourism Malaysia. If you want, I can, probably give you some contact details and then you can connect with them. Apart from food shopping, I realized that Malaysia has been one of the shopping destination, especially for the Middle Eastern, because I've done comparison myself. Most of the goods and brands that being sold in Malaysia are way cheaper than even Middle East, or even in Thailand, or even in Malaysia. I'm talking about brands. So yeah, besides food, shopping. And one thing that I would like to highlight, that Malaysia has the cheapest luxury hotel in the world. A Four Season, less than $200, you can never get anywhere in the world. GW Marriott, the Ritz-Carlton, these are the good brands, where in Malaysia, we are one of the cheapest around the world. You don't compare even with India. India, even a 3-star hotel like Ibis is 1,000 ringgit. Okay. Movie spot in Malaysia, most important thing, couple of movies was actually being shot in Langkawi. There was a Bollywood movie called Dawn. I think it was released somewhere early 2000, and that has actually boosted the tourism from India into Malaysia, especially Langkawi and Malacca at that time. So now there are a lot of Tamil movies being shot in Malaysia. So that also increasing Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and Langkawi. These are the 3-4 destinations. Scuba diving tourism, I believe not only scuba diving, but anything to do with water sports is a big and very disorganized industry. It has a huge potential. I'll just share with you a couple of my experience. Like, for example, in Langkawi, there are a lot of water sports operator. However, they are not legal. They do not have license. Whenever we have big, large corporate incentive group, or we have families going to Langkawi who wants to do water sport, it is a struggle for us to find a proper validated vendor, because it is a very disorganized. No platform has a consolidated all the water sports, scuba diving. I've not seen anywhere in the world actually. So it is a very good idea that you are doing. I think we'll speak on that in detail later. But yeah, it is a huge potential. Religious tour like Thaipusam, yes, it is a great tourism. But I think that has to be pre-planned. More than Thaipusam, MotoGP has been one of the biggest tourism booster. Hundreds and hundreds of company from Indonesia are coming to Malaysia for MotoGP. I think that's a very big thing. Yes, Thaipusam can be one of it, but I think it is not marketed very well. Medical tourism, yes, is good, but depend on which segment you are focusing on. Because like if you're talking about aesthetic, a lot of people are going to Thailand. However, we still have to do a lot more for our medical tourism. Currently, we are only depending on Indonesia. Because that one, Indonesia for me is by default. They come to Malaysia because we are the nearest and the cheapest for medical. But we still have to do a lot of work in terms of boosting the medical tourism from the rest of the world into Malaysia. Okay, doctor on call, yes. Okay, yeah, you can definitely work on platform, but again, you'll have to see on the regulatory and whether the market, how's the market impact. Like if you're talking about Indian market, for digital health platform, India has one of the best medical scene. There are a lot of pharma companies there. Medical is quite accessible there in India. So yes, you got to study the market more in detail, but it has a great potential. The Arabs, yes, but the problem is currently we are facing airline connectivity issue with the Arab market, because for them going for a medical to Europe is only 5 hours flight, but coming to Malaysia with transit is 15 to 16 hours flight. So unless the Malaysian government doesn't increase the flight connectivity, we will have challenge with the Arab market for the health, because people wants to go back directly after doing some procedures or surgery. They do not want to go on transit flight. And whatever the direct flight that we have for the Arab market currently are mostly taken by Umrah or Hajj. So that's it. Again, a problem.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
Could I just perhaps jump into, continue on the discussion over here? I think my question was more geared towards how do we work with particularly tour agents? Because I understand the nuances or complexities of healthcare, right? In which the patients themselves may not know the exact treatment that they need to go for. So it'd be best if we can collaborate with physical or traditional travel agents to help provide the breadth and the offerings that we have. You know, traditionally, they are the aesthetic clinics, the dental clinics, the health screening packages. So what do you think is the best way for us to do that B2B approach that which you've been talking about?
Okay, what I would suggest is for you to identify which market that you want to target. Like, for example, if you're going to target Indian market, you can speak to Tourism Malaysia, identify top 15 to 20 travel agents that are actively in Indian market who are really transacting in the Indian market. Probably just do a gathering and then, introduce your product, do some get together, very laid back. Like, for example, like a hotel, when they want to launch a product, they will call all of us for inspections and all that. So you can actually do that in collaboration with Tourism Malaysia. Get all the top players, because each market has different player. Indian market has different player. China market has different player. Middle East has a different player. So if you tell to tourism that, look, you need 20 people first for your first cut, send them the invite, do a get together, do a proper product briefing. But after the product briefing, you have to definitely train their staff. Like, for example, I'm just giving you an example like Genting, because Genting have done a lot of changes. They did an inspection trip with us last week, and now Genting is going to do an online training session to all the sellers, because at the end of the day, the knowledge needs to go down to the sellers who are actually dealing with the travel agents around. So I think for you is to collaborate with Tourism Malaysia, identify the agents, get together and do a complete product brief and give them the sales kit. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, and two follow-on questions on that, right? A really quick one. So as you currently pointed out, the medical tourism market in Malaysia is about 2/3 of it is Indonesian, and then it moves on to 5% in China, and I think India somewhere around that 2-3% mark. I'm not sure the Arab number. So if we were to focus on Indonesia and then China and Arab before we even tackle India, can we replicate a model that you talked about just working with Tourism Malaysia to identify the top 10 travel agents?
Yes.
and do the entire product briefing and launch with them?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And
one thing you can do that, one is definitely you connect, this is not only to you, but to everyone who wants to work with Tourism Malaysia. Besides Tourism Malaysia, you should also go to the relevant trade shows. Okay. I'll tell you, like in Tourism Malaysia, there's different departments. There is the Asia Barat, which is the Middle East and the Indian and all that. And then you have the ASEAN, and then you have the China, and then you have the Oceanic and all that. Okay, so that's like how tourism, in tourism, there's a different segment. Okay, that's how the market works. Okay, if you want to go to Indonesian market, last week there was a trade show in Jakarta. And then every other month, there is some trade shows, either by Tourism Malaysia or by international brands like ITB or IMAX or ATM and all that. So just be visible. Even if you're not transacting there, you just have to be visible in trade shows that related to tourism. So if you need that, I can probably, I can text you or whatever. I can share with you, like, for example, I'll show, okay, overall, don't think that Tourism Malaysia is not doing anything. Tourism Malaysia is doing everything, but they are selecting the partners whenever they go. Okay, this 28th, 29th, 30th is Jeddah Travel Exchange, which is located in Jeddah. Tourism Malaysia has a booth. We have 16 delegates traveling from Malaysia. 5 are travel companies, destination management companies, around 6 to 7 hotels, and then 2 or 3 stakeholders, tourism board. Okay, so after that, Tourism Malaysia is conducting roadshow to Algeria and Cairo. So that is what they're doing for the first session for the Middle East GCC this year. Tourism Malaysia is also participating in OTM Mumbai, which is on the 8th, 9th, 10th of February. And then Sateh, which is in Delhi. These are all the big, huge B2B trade shows. Even though you are dealing with consumer or you are dealing with B2C, regardless whatever, if you have a great product to offer, just try to join. Even if you can't go under the booth of Tourism Malaysia, attend the trade show as a buyer or a visitor or whatever, so that you get the knowledge and learn from what's happening in the trade. The next biggest trade show will be ATM Dubai, which is in the month of May. That is one of the largest trade show in the world. WTM World Trade London is the biggest, but before that I shall say ATM Dubai, because you get the whole India, the whole Middle East, the GCC, the Russian, who will be in Arabian trade show. So Arabian travel month. If you can't go under Tourism Malaysia, if you have the budget, you can go under the technology booth. There is a huge technology booth in ATM. There's a huge technology booth in WTM. And of course, in IMAX, there's a lot of trade shows. There's a lot of trade shows. I can go on and on speak about trade shows, but you just have to pick which trade show which is suitable for you.
Right. So just the second part is thank you for that, right? That was really insightful, Ms. Zahira. And I think next question is when you give the example of Genting and so on, right? If we were to be working with travel agents, is there an expectation, and how do we actually work out the commercial arrangement, right? Because my very limited conversations with them, they almost see us as a competitor. They think that we are going to be a new OTA, online travel agent, bypassing them for the medical tourism space, right? But I actually think that it's going to be a bit more collaborative, where we would need them to book for their patients, right? Curate the whole medical tourism package, and then they just transact on our package, to like choose 3 fertility clinics or 3 aesthetic clinics, or 5 health screening packages, right? So when we talk to them, is there an expectation, and how do we work out the commercials?
Basically, it's the commission. Everybody wants the commission. They just want to know what they're going to earn out of it. And if possible, you got to let them handle the accommodation and the transport part, because that's where they actually make the money, right? Because there are certain travel agencies who owns their own vehicles, or probably they have better rates and they want to focus on certain hotels that they want to sell. So let that they handle, because at the end of the day, that is also need to be licensed. You can't just simply book transport and accommodation if you do not have a license, because if you're carrying a tourist, you need a proper license. So let them that probably you can tweak on the commission basis and say that, look here, what we are selling online, this is 100 ringgit, but I'm giving you 80 ringgit. So the 20 ringgit is yours. So that is something that you have to look into.
If you can venture a guess, what would the commission expectation be around, right? What's the ballpark figure?
To be very frank, 10 to 15% is quite reasonable at this point of time. People are not looking. We are not Agoda or Booking.com, where we rip everyone off 20% or 18%.
At the moment, we are getting around 10 to 15%. So perhaps, perhaps we can work out an arrangement where we can split it.
You see, tourism is all about volume business. I'll share with you from my experience currently. We at Universal, we don't even work more than 6%. Right? Yes, we do renegotiation after we close deals, but overall our margin when we is only 6 to 8%. But it is a volume business. If you get the right market like Indonesia, it's a huge volume business.
Okay, fantastic. I hope to discuss with you offline.
Correct, sure. Okay, yes, you need a MOTEC license before you are being invited by Tourism Malaysia for any trade show. And okay, agro-tourism, yes, it can be potential if you target the right market and the right segment of business. Because like, for example, you can't just go and say that, okay, I want to have Indian market or China market for the agro-tourism. You need to know which segment, because they themselves has a very huge agro industry or agro-centric tourism. But if you are targeting probably the European market, who don't really see certain kind of agro, then yeah. So you need to you have to study the market, whether it is suitable or not. Like I'll just give an example. Don't get offended. Like for example, homestay is a good product. It's great. But you are taking homestay to Indonesia, you're taking homestay to China, to India, they'll be thinking that, hello, my house looks like a homestay. Why should I stay in a homestay? I'd rather go and pay and stay in a good 4-star or 5-star hotel because I want to experience that. But if you're taking homestay to a Japanese students, you're taking to a Korean, to European, that works. So you need to make sure that you identify the right product for the right audience.
For more questions, can take it offline, or we can maybe have your email so that they can reach out to you.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think thank you again, Zahira, for your sessions with that.
I hope it was useful for everyone.
Yeah, I think it was an insightful discussions with from all the questions ranging from accommodations to agrotourism, our last questions. So yeah, thank you again. I think we also have a bit more time for our next session with the cohort participants. So maybe for the cohort participants, you can stay a bit more for the sessions later. And for the rest of that, just a quick reminder, the Digital Tourism Innovation Lab is actually open for cohort 2 already. So you can get more information from our website. At the same time, if you need more insightful sessions, you can also always stay tuned to our social media. So more sessions will be also coming, and we will be posting out on social media. Yep, so thank you everyone.